All right, welcome back, everyone. So last week, we really dug into the phenomenology of ressentiment, right? We looked at it as a moral pathology, what it feels like from the inside. Today, we're shifting gears. We've done the diagnosis, now it's time to talk about the cure. So here's the plan for today. We'll start with a quick refresher on the problem, what ressentiment actually is. Then we'll get into Schler's framework for what moral health looks like, looking at it both for the individual and for the community. And we'll wrap up by thinking about how we can actually apply these ideas, especially for the kind of phenomenological work we're trying to do in this class.
All right, first up, the poisoned mind. Just a quick look back at ressentiment. It's pretty simple, right? If you're going to understand the antidote, you have to know exactly what the poison is.
So remember Schler's core definition here. This is not just being angry or envious. The key ingredient, the thing that turns it into ressentiment, is impotence. It's when you have these powerful negative feelings, but you feel completely powerless to act on them. There's no release. And so what happens? They fester, they get repressed, and that repression turns inward and starts to poison your whole value system. It leads to what he calls a value delusion, where you start calling the things you can't have bad and the things you're stuck with good. Okay, so if ressentiment is fundamentally a disorder of values, a value delusion, then the cure, well, it has to involve getting our values back in order. And here's where Schler makes a really crucial move, one that sets him apart from a lot of modern philosophy. He argues that this order of values is objective. It's not something you just make up based on your feelings. It's something that's out there, waiting to be discovered. He borrows this wonderful term from Pascal, ordo amoris, or the order of love. The idea is that before we are thinkers, before we are even doers, we are fundamentally lovers. Our entire being is structured by what we love and what we hate. This basic orientation, our personal ordo amoris, is our moral compass. And for Schler, moral health is simply when your personal order of love lines up with the actual objective order of what's truly valuable. Now, take a look at this hierarchy. The really interesting question, and the one that's key for us as phenomenologists, is how do we know this? Schler is adamant. You don't deduce this with logic. You don't reason your way to it. You feel it. It's discovered in the very act of preferring one thing over another. You just apprehend in your emotional life that, say, the value of justice is deeper and more lasting, it ranks higher than the value of a fleeting sensory pleasure. The hierarchy is given to us directly in our experience. So the upshot of all this is that for Schler, ethics has an objective a priori structure. But, and this is a big but, it's not the formal a priori you know from Kant. It's not about universal logical rules. It's a material a priori. The structure is grounded in the actual content of our experience, in the felt qualitative differences between these values. So what is moral goodness? It's simply realizing a higher value over a lower one. And evil? It's the reverse. It's preferring a lower value when a higher one is available. It's choosing the useful over the noble, or pleasure over truth. Okay, so this raises a huge question, right? If we don't access this objective hierarchy through pure reason, then how do we? What is our faculty for moral perception? And for Schler, the answer, maybe surprisingly, is love. We need to completely rethink what love is and what it does.
And this is a complete 180 from the Kantian tradition you're all familiar with. Remember, for Kant, love is pathological. It's just a subjective feeling, an impulse. It has no place in grounding objective morality. While Schler says that's completely wrong. Love isn't a blind emotion at all. It's a cognitive act. It's a form of moral insight. In fact, it's the primary way we perceive value. Love is the act that lets us see the highest possible value in another person or thing.
Now, he also takes the concept of sublimation, which you've probably encountered in Freud, and gives it a complete overhaul. For Schler, this is not some unconscious defense mechanism. It's a fully conscious act of the spirit. Now, here's the tricky part. Schler thinks the spirit itself is impotent. It has no energy of its own. All the energy, the drive, comes from our vital impulses. But what the spirit can do is guide that energy. It can hold up a higher value, like truth or beauty, and direct the raw power of our drives towards that goal. It's how we take our basic impulses and spiritualize them. So, okay, we've got a picture of the individual path to moral health, right? You realign your ordo amoris with the real hierarchy of values, and you do that through the insight of love and the practice of sublimation. But is that it? Is getting better just a solo project? Schler says no, absolutely not. We don't exist in a vacuum. So what's the social dimension of all this?
This brings us to solidarity. You see, the poison of ressentiment is fundamentally isolating. It traps you in this bitter, private little world you've built. So it makes sense that the antidote wouldn't be more isolation, but the exact opposite, a deep, profound sense of a shared moral life with others.
And the key concept here is Gemeinschaft. It translates to something like co-responsibility or shared guilt. And it's the perfect social antidote to ressentiment. Because what it says is that we are not these isolated, self-contained moral atoms. No, we are all part of a larger moral community, a moral body. And that means we share in the responsibility for the moral well-being of the whole group, not just for our own individual actions. And this is where you can really see the difference in worldview. Shaler says you can tell a lot about a person's moral health just by looking at how they think about responsibility. He draws this stark contrast between the person filled with ressentiment, who's always trying to get rid of responsibility, and the morally noble person who actively takes it on. Look at the two mindsets here. The person trapped in ressentiment feels weak, right? They feel insecure. So what do? They build walls, they try to limit the responsibility as much as possible. They say, that's not my problem. They reject any connection to the faults of others because, frankly, they feel crushed by their own. But the morally healthy person, the person who is secure in their own value, does the exact opposite. They extend their sense of responsibility. They feel that co-responsibility for others because they're coming from a place of strength, of spiritual abundance. All right, so this all brings us to the big question for a class like this. For us as people who want to actually do philosophy, not just read about it, how do we put this into practice? How do we move from all this theory to actually cultivating moral health in our own lives? And it all comes back to this quote, which is really the foundation of Schiller's whole project. Man is, before he is, a being who knows, or a being who wills, a being who loves. It's worth repeating because it's so fundamental. Our most basic way of being in the world isn't thinking or doing, it's our orientation toward value, what we love and what we hate. So if you want to know yourself, you have to start there. You have to ask, what do I love, and in what order do I love it? So the big takeaway, what I want you to leave with today, is this. Schiller's ethics is not just another theory to memorize for an exam. It's a call to practice. It's a practice of moral self-knowledge. And the task is fundamentally phenomenological. It's about paying close attention to your own feelings of value, to those moments when you prefer one thing over another. And then asking yourself, does my personal logic of the heart actually line up with that deeper, objective order of values we've been talking about? It's a lifelong act of commitment. It's about constantly trying to attune your inner world to the true order of the heart.